Welcome to the Avelx channel, and in this video we're going to explore the differences between a design contract system and preprocessor languages. And at the end of the video I will be revealing my favorite system that I use to build my own websites and any future websites I may build. So if you're going to go ahead and love this video, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, join that Avelx family, and let's get on with the video. So what are all these terminologies? We've got a design contract system, we've got preprocessors. I mean, what is all this stuff? Well, first of all, the main thing is that a design contract system is actually done by the designer, not really the developer. The designer has a design contract system, such as spacing and leading and how things are laid out, and generally the rules that guide their entire design. So that design contract system needs to be honored between the designer and the contract builder, the guy who's going to build this design. So the reason why it's so important, and we must consider this, is that design is all about continuity. Most things are spacing and leading and font size and so forth. Now programs like Adobe XD and Figma, well, those guys are really great for developing a design contract system. It helps the designer go faster because you've got a set amount of spacing. You've got a set border radius, for example, to keep that consistency in the design. All those things you don't notice, and the box sort of shadow, as well as also the colors being one of the key factors. If your colors would all be different and selected on the fly, your design won't have that continuity, that consistency that really delivers a professional finish. So it will actually make the developer go faster, right? And so a design contract lets you get closer to your designer, and your designer gets closer to the developer. And you both are more cohesive when you want to actually deliver a product together, is the fact that the design contract system is a much better approach. Now, the reason why I make the distinction when it comes to preprocessors is you can have a design contract system in literally any preprocessor that you want. So whether that be SASS. So SASS gives us more functionality, and it's a preprocessor. Basically, it allows you to have all that extra syntax and functionality, and then it will ultimately produce CSS when it's finished going through the CLI and it's all compiled in. It changes the SASS syntax to a browser-readable format syntax called CSS. It's a preprocessor, a precursor, a pre-step to getting your CSS. And because it's a pre-step, we get loads of nice features like embedding, nesting, variables, maps, for loops, arrays, mixins. We get all of that great stuff with the preprocessor that you don't get with the language CSS as it is on its own. So why do I think that design contracts are going to be imperative, meaning they are explicitly going to be, looking forward, going to be used a lot more? Well, number one, when you start sharing all this data in one place, so colors, border radius, box shadow, I'm not having to copy and paste all of those values like you traditionally do, even with a preprocessor. You can write a design contract within the preprocessor. So you write a file with all of your colors, with all of your font sizes, with everything, and then you share that. And what that means is later on down the line, if we change the design, it will actually be easier and more consistent. Our changes will be consistent. That's number one. So it saves time. Number two, it keeps consistency. Number three, what it enables you to do is work faster because you're not having to copy and paste a load of values that you don't want to. You can simply say, oh, box shadow, I'll have the variant 1 or the variant 2 or the variant 3. And if the designer changes variant 1 or variant 2 or variant 3, it will change that consistently across your entire site. Yes, it takes a little bit more work to figure it all out, but once you've done it, that hard work will pay off in spades. And every forward-thinking company is looking at the design contract system coupled with the preprocessors. They go together. Now, SASS is a great one. However, I do prefer less over SASS. However, one that actually has already done this out the box, meaning it's coupled the pre-processing together and it's also done some of the legwork when it comes to design contract systems, is called Tailwind. Now, Tailwind is incredibly useful. It's one of those systems that has already thought about how you want to apply things. Now, yes, it can overload the class attribute. So I like to use the @apply operator in the syntax of post CSS. That way, I get to have my design contract system, but my styles are still decoupled from the template and put into the style tag. And I've just noticed that I can code so much faster than traditional CSS. And it's not just necessarily about coding faster. I do want to stress the importance of editability and scalability. So one of the beautiful things about using Tailwind is that you're not constantly writing different media queries, for example. That's all held in the design contract. You can customize the design contract. But for example, your properties are composable. So if I have a property, for example, a CSS property, and I want to apply that CSS property slightly differently in, let's say, the tablet or the medium breakpoint, I can just type in MD : and then have the alternative value for the minimum width of 700 and something pixels. And it's mobile first as well. You can invert it if you want to, but usually nowadays we go mobile first, especially in the e-commerce game, because, well, most people buy on their phones or when they're traveling to work or when they want to get something. And one of the major benefits is that we look at the properties first, not the state first. So a lot of the other preprocessors, I feel, are trying to integrate the nesting to deal with this situation. But with Tailwind, I have composable properties. So it's properties first, so we're focusing on the styles first, rather than the state first. Have a think about this. What does that mean? Well, when I want to look at the state first, I have to go, well, is that the hover state? Or is that the focus state? Or is that state first? Then I have to find that piece of code. Then I have to find the property. However, the beautiful thing about Tailwind, and what's helping me go much faster in Tailwind, is the fact that I can look at the style first. Then I can look at the breakpoint, and then I can change the value. And just by looking at the value, I'll be able to see which one it is. So the beautiful thing is I have this great composability. And overall, because if you want to keep your styles minimal, which is what this whole thing encourages, there's actually less code than if you were to write a full-on media query with the full property names and so forth. There's some such nice caveats. For example, I don't need to do padding with redundant values. I can just do px5, px4, and have that consistent spacing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have that consistent spacing and a continual deliverance on consistency and continuity when it comes to designing. So at the start of this video, I said, which technology would I choose? So first of all, the technology that I would choose is Tailwind. Tailwind is great where I think about the styling first rather than the state first. And also you could screw that up quite a bit. So you could clean that up with linting. So you do have to be more disciplined. And also the designer has to be more disciplined when it comes to a design contract system. If you say, look guys, we're going with Tailwind and we need a design contract, that design contract has to be honored and managed by the design team. The moment the design team, and I've had this before, say to you as the programmer, let us know if something's out of space. Let us know if something, no, we have a contract, right? The contract is you're the designer, you're the guy who makes the decision. So the reason why I say the design contract system is great is because it bridles the styles and it also ensures consistency between components. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoy that Avelx family. Stick with us, we will get there, and join that mailing list. Link in the description to the website down below. Thanks for watching.